Hey there friends, it's Kodiak here and welcome back to Legacy Gaming. Today we are launching the Hytale Blocktable, a place for content creators, artists, and other people within the Hytale space to talk about the game, collaborate, and blur the lines between various communities. I know it's strange launching a new series like this when Hytale is still years away, but before we go into the dark ages of waiting and wondering, Livid and I wanted to check in with some old friends and new faces to get their take on the Hytale delay and much more. This first episode is an absolute roller coaster ride, so please, if you enjoy this content and you want more Hytale Blocktable videos in your feed down the line, do us a solid, hit that thumbs up, and subscribe. We've got the first Hytale Blocktable, great group of guys. Why don't we just go around the horn? I'm going to start with my partner in crime. Just introduce yourself, say hi to everybody, and then just pass the ball along to somebody else to say hi.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Livid. I'm Cody's partner in crime over at Legacy Gaming. And how's everybody doing tonight?
Fantastic.
Good, pretty good.
All right, so we've got a returning face. So, Fezzy, how about a little introduction?
Hey, that's me. I'm Fezzy. I gave an introduction last time. Most people probably know me as 30 Viruses editor, but I've been in the Hytale space since before that was even a thing. And yeah, it's been a long time. What was it? Was it like a year ago?
It's been a long time, but it is good to have you back here, man. All right, let's go to the oldest member of the group, Swervy.
I think you've got that a bit confused. You got it reversed there. But I'm quite cool. I'm Swervy. I like Hytale, and I do Minecraft. That's my personality wrapped up in a little knot.
Straight up, if there's somebody that's gonna throw a curveball in this entire discussion, it's gonna be Swervy. I'm calling it right now. He's gonna derail us. He's gonna say something crazy. We're gonna have to bleep it. I don't know. It's gonna be something.
You're just gonna throw a swerve ball.
A swerve ball. There we go. All right. How about the Dragon Man himself, Exo?
That's me. I'm ExodusAblaze, and I am the Dragon Man. Everyone calls me a Dragon Man, even though I'm not a dragon in man form. Yeah, we'll get to that later, but.
Well, it's good to have you on the block table. And of course, we've got another new face in his sock and all. Reddoons, what's going on, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm the red guy. I wear sock on the internet. Yeah.
Majestic
Wow.
All right, so just so everybody knows, this is part one of, this is really going to be episode one of the Hytale Block Table. You guys may know that we started the round tables way back when, before 3 of the 6 of us were even talking about this game. So it is so awesome to have you guys here. We're recording this at midnight on, what is it, July, now it's 17th. But just super excited to talk to you. I've got a few questions. Of course, we're going to talk about all the news Hytale, but some other things about content creation, about your channels. So let's just dive right in. And of course, I got to bring it back to Fezzy since he is the returning member here. So Fezzy, you get the big question. You get to kick it off. The obvious thing to talk about here. Hytale has been delayed until at least 2023, if not later. Now, you are the only returning member, other than Livid. He doesn't count because he's my partner.
I don't count.
We're going to start with you. What were your initial thoughts, and what are your thoughts right now moving forward?
I was pissed in the first couple like hours. I was pretty bent up over it because obviously, I mean, this isn't fair to put on the game or anything, but I've been like counting on that game to escape Skyblock for the past like 2 years. So, you know, at first it was a lot of anger, but over time, I know why it has to happen. My thoughts on it just go as like, man, I don't know if this game is going to make it that long again, because, you know, the hype's already kind of gone down a bit. It's been reignited, obviously, because of this announcement. Like, people are talking about it again, but it's a bit more of a mixed bag than it was before. I mean, before I had an opinion that I released in a video. I don't even think it's up anymore, where I don't really know how they're going to approach the coming year. It's 2 years at minimum from now, right? Like minimum.
Swurvy can almost drink by the time this game comes out.
Yeah, dude, like I'm gonna be there's a good chance I'll be in my mid-20s by the time this game comes out. So like, I don't know what they're going to do. Obviously, they don't really have at least as far as we know, a huge plan going into the future for talking to the public, because they're not even posting screenshots every week anymore. That's not even something that they think they can do consistently. And if they can't even do that, I really don't know if we're gonna be hearing much from Hytale for the next, over half a thousand days. So I don't know. I just hope the game has what it takes to survive. When it first came out, I really thought it was going to be this big, like explosive, like monumental release that could shake the gaming industry, which I know is kind of unrealistic, but I really believed that. And now I'm being brutally honest, I'm a little afraid because I'm catching some Cube World vibes with the way this is going, just with a lot more people behind it, because obviously Cube World was like one guy. But I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
Okay. All right. Anybody else want to chime in?
I mean, I think we're all up in shambles over what has happened. I mean, like, if you look at like the Hytale community over on Twitter, Reddit, this is literally like the beginning of like World War III or anarchy. Like everything's up in flames right now, and like I mean, if it wasn't the fact that like our game is being delayed, I'd find this hilarious. But then I'm like, wait, hold on, are we allowed to curse on this, or is this PG?
Yeah, sure. Just maybe nothing crazy, but sure, I don't care.
Okay. I think a lot of us are thinking, fuck, right now. We're all freaking out over this. I mean, likely some of us have been able to get an scapegoat, but I think a lot of us fear for the future of this community. Like, well, yeah, like, go to escape with.
I'm honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I'm all sad about this. I read it, and it wasn't even anger. It was just like a punch. It's like you've been punched and.
You're still going through the stages of grief.
I am. I'm not very good at
You're in denial right now, Swervy.
It's hard to accept. It's a lot of years. I've only been alive for so long. It's like I'm gonna be old.
Yeah, this is like a fraction. It's like a quarter of your life at this point, isn't it?
No, it's quite. Well, I'm 16. Okay,
yeah, it's a quarter of your life at this point.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Exo, how about you?
I mean, yeah, I agree with everyone else. A little bit of being upset, a little bit of just like shell shocked, like what? This can't happen. What the heck? And it hasn't really sank in yet. I don't think. Like it's just now starting to. I'm like, okay, I've been working at this. Like I know I'm new to the community, but I've been grinding for half a year because I thought, I gotta get my foot in the door and like see what I can do. And it was kind of like, to me, I was gonna say it's Hytale or bust. So I'm gonna make it till I break it. And if the game doesn't come out or I don't do well, then that's it. I'm done. I gotta figure something else out. So now I'm like trying to figure out, okay, what else do I do? I'm like trying to build this, it's like a kid playing with Legos who he's building this thing and someone kicks it over. And now I'm like, okay, now what do I do? So we're still trying to stay positive, but yeah, it's a little.
Yeah, so we've got a weird dynamic. We've got a couple content creators here that came into Hytale late. We're not betting everything, but betting big on Hytale. And then we've got other channels like, Legacy Gaming and then 30 and Fezzy who are trying to escape or find another thing to latch onto. So it's this weird like kind of cross-pollination of different types of content creators, which is really interesting. So I think we're going to talk a little bit more about the content creation stuff later, but I got to ask Livid, since, we are the oldest of the group, I think we had a little bit more of a measured reaction. I don't think either of us were like, this is the end of the world. But Livid, what were your initial thoughts?
I mean, my initial reaction was when I saw the post, I went, yeah, that sounds about right. I knew that was going to happen. And we immediately, messaged each other. We're like, hey, did you see this blog post? Yeah, that's what we thought was going to happen. And it did. It just a little later than we thought it was going to happen. We thought we would have gotten this announcement much farther back, when things were very clearly still not as communicative, right? So, I mean, I'm not as devastated by the news, but I feel for everybody who really is, banking on this stuff to really change things. It's a huge deal, and I think they should have been more forward with their plans with this, like, because if the game's not in a ready state or coming close to that when they promised the beta at in 2021, that's something pretty far out. You don't know that like oh hey, in 6 weeks we're totally not gonna be ready for 2 years. Like that's not gonna happen. So that was kind of the big gut punch that people had. But for me alone, like I'm disappointed, but I'm also kind of relieved at the same point, because we get more content out of that. We get more time for development for other side projects that relate to it. You know, there's a lot of ways to kind of drum up some other stuff in the meantime. Sure, not everybody will be talking about it as much as they were before, but I don't think it'll kill the hype for Hytale. I mean, there's still a bunch of like friends I have that follow us, and they always ask us, you know, hey, when's the next video on this stuff? We really want to know. And you know, I let one of them know recently, and they're like, oh, well, that's not so bad. I have other things I could do in the meantime. So I don't think a lot of people are as, you know, publicly heartbroken about that, except for like the die-hard community that follows it. Right. If that
Which
makes
is
any
still
sense.
a very much a niche community. Like if you go on Hytale Info and you just scroll, like you see the same 30, 40 people. It's very, I don't want to say polarized, but it's very diehard. It's very much like we are this niche community, and it really only was in mainstream for like a little bit back in 2018 when the trailer was out. You know, that was around the conversation of like, oh, it's Minecraft 2. Oh, this game's gonna be very, like literally it was talked to death. And no shade to anybody who made videos on it, because like it was part of the conversation. But ever since then, it has just stuck with this community. But you know, again, 3 of you came into this kind of late, so that's kind of where I wanna go next. I want people to know a little bit and learn a little bit more about you guys. So, Exo, let's start with you. So, where did you latch on to Hytale? Why did you latch on to Hytale? And what is like the thing that you're looking forward to the most when this game eventually does come out?
Okay, sweet. So, if I'm being honest, when I saw the trailer for Hytale, that kind of like sparked this like thing I hid deep inside me for a while. So I always wanted to be a content creator and work in the industry or just do something regarding content creation. And when I saw this game, I was like, oh my gosh, it's the game that I can do any content, like it's my chance. So when I saw the trailer, I was 18 at the time. I started saving up for computer parts, and I started getting into like, okay, how do I become a professional creator? How do I do the designs or the speaking, whatever I got to do? And I kind of just practiced, and I eventually forgot about Hytale and started just trying to be a creator in general and work with other people. And then I don't know why, I think it was probably because of Thankmas. I don't know if I was there like watching it or not, but after it had happened, I watched some Hytale videos, and on YouTube it said releasing 2021. I was like, oh shoot, I'm running out of time. This game, I forgot about it. I got to get back into it. So I just started like looking around. I literally was like in Canadian Flash's Discord, and
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it was pretty chill. I was just talking to people, and then I met Jamble, and I started meeting everyone else. I eventually got to meet Fezzy and 30, who I watched when the trailer was announced. So that was like really cool. I'm like, hey, like these guys are just like me. You know, everyone's, you know, they want to be passionate for this game. So yeah, that's how I came back into the Hytale community. But the main thing I'm excited for when Hytale comes out is the ability to tell stories creatively in a way that other games can't. So I'm kind of experimenting with that now in other games, and I'm realizing like, dang, this really doesn't work. It's not as easy as it would be in Hytale with all the camera features and all the things you can change and customize. I think that's really important, and it's really, really unique. And the character customization, just the fact that you can make it what you want to be and pull content out of it that doesn't have to be like in the base game. That's probably what I'm most excited for.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, and I know you're dabbling in Sea of Thieves right now. So if anybody has played Sea of Thieves and wants to see what like narrative-driven, funny, just thoughtful content is, seriously, I mean, I watched the episode you sent me the other day. I was like, wow, this whole intro is like not scripted. I couldn't tell if it was scripted or not, but it's like really narrative-driven. I'm like, this is fun. I feel like I'm on an adventure with you, and that's really awesome. So kudos to you to like pivoting that way. And I cannot wait to see that side of you in Hytale, because obviously, you know, with more flexibility, more customization, all that stuff, it's just going to be great. So kudos to that. Now let's pivot and talk to Swurvy, because you go the yell crazy, funny, like just
I love being loud. It's
you
so fun.
just love hitting me over the head with just ridiculousness. And I think here's the thing, and I'll be honest with you, you know, like I don't watch Tommy, I don't watch those guys. Like I'm not a Minecraft person, but I know you in this community, so I watch your videos and I'm like, oh, let's see what Swurvy's up to. So like you clearly have an angle, you clearly have a thing you want, but what brought you to Hytale and what do you want to do in that space?
Okay. So, that's actually a bit of a funny story. This is gonna be long, so kind of buckle in.
Jeez Louise.
When the trailer initially launched, I was kind of in the same boat as Exo actually, where I was like, wow, I want this game. This is very cool. And then I kind of moved on from it for a bit because I was like, oh, it's not gonna be releasing for a bit, so I'm just gonna put it in the back of my mind and see what happens. And then I remembered. Yeah, so you remember when Hypixel had a resurgence, right? There was like a few years ago. It was like it started getting popular. I started or maybe I just started watching Minecraft content more. I don't know. But when I started getting into Minecraft again, because there was a time where I took a break from that as well. I kind of just did my own thing. I remember that I'm gonna get in trouble. I got banned on Hypixel when I was 8 years old. We're not going to talk about why. I'm not going to get into that detail. It's very embarrassing. Oh, I don't like talking about it.
You do, Swervy.
Oh my gosh.
I did what a young Swervy does, you know. We don't talk.
We don't need to talk about it. Just tell me why you like Hytale, damn it.
Anyway, but I was like, isn't because I vaguely remembered. I think Hypixel was working on a game, and I was like, wait, is this out yet? Because I kind of put it again in the back of my mind, and then I started looking into it. And I was like, oh my god, this game is awesome! Like I was looking at all the blog posts I joined, like all the Discord servers I joined. I was like talking to people in Hytale News. I reached like the top of the messages. Like I had like something crazy, like 200 or like 20,000 messages. Not 200. Oh god. Oh
Wow.
I'm tired. Sorry, but yeah, I was really excited, and I was talking to everybody. I was getting all hyped. I was like, wow, I can't wait for this game, because like the adventure mode, I had gotten so bored of Minecraft survival, like unbelievably. Like, you know, it's basically a chop tree and then go kill a dragon, you know. There's like nothing interesting about it. It's not fun. But Hytale actually, like, it looked intriguing. I was like, I want to play this game. This looks so fun. And I don't know, I just started getting involved in as much Hytale stuff as I could. And I was like, yeah, I want to be able to play all the mini games. I want to be able to play multiplayer. I want the adventure experience. So many bosses. And I was like, oh my god, this is just so amazing. I was like, it was about that time too when I started like thinking about content again, because I'd been, well, we don't talk about what I used to do. I used to have this really bad channel called Nick Gaming. Oh, and I recorded very bad vlogs. But that's besides the point. I was getting back into content. I was like, wow, this game looks like something I could have fun creating content with, because there's so much. Like, and I was like, there was Minecraft is doing well. I could see Hytale doing well, and it was exciting. I was like, it was fresh, and it was just like, I wanna be involved in this, and yeah, I'm still here. So,
I would imagine you probably have. I mean, granted, you said you were 8 when you were playing Hypixel and were banned, whatever. The other channel you just mentioned, how much younger were you?
Wait, what channel? Sorry.
The Nick Gaming.
Log one.
Oh. Well, what, 5th grade? Oh,
okay,
God,
so it was a while ago. The only reason I'm asking is because, I mean, you can clearly see an evolution, and like, you don't just pick up the skills that you have in your video overnight, right? So you've clearly spent time working on the craft. You know, because I was watching a video with you and Reddoons going at it. I don't actually know what the hell you were doing, but you guys were doing something, yelling at each other, talking smack. It was great. But like, there's a lot of quick edits in there. There's, you know, a lot of graphic reinforcement, like stuff that you learn that you're already preparing for when Hytale comes out. And you know, I think for the most part, we're all kind of content creators / editors / everything, right? Like we all have the skills, so it's such a valuable thing. And you went from an 8-year-old that got banned on a Hypixel server to now where you do have a base set of skills that you're going to take into Hytale, and it seems like you want to do everything in Hytale. So that's going to be really cool. I mean, that's a really all-encompassing kind of journey already in itself, which is neat.
Yeah, it's like it's going to be a creative tool, and like when it comes to editing, right? I'm completely like self-taught over again years of experience. and I started editing on my mom's phone. I was recording videos. I remember I also did Roblox. Me and my friend, we had a sleepover, and it was the coolest thing ever at the time. Not anymore, but it was. And it's just, I've evolved, and then I got like PC, and then I did this free editing software, and it's just like, oh my god, this is so fun.
It's amazing that that's how it starts, though, because I mean, you guys all experience it. You're at different stages in that journey, right? Like Livid and I are still constantly working on like he's got the 3 soundproof panels behind him. Like that is like something that we've been trying to get to for him because he's in a building that's got reverberations. Like, but you forget sometimes that you start with a free editing software, or you start on your phone, or you start with like a crappy video, no microphone. Like there is a journey when it comes to creating content that we forget. We can't always see the forest through the trees. So it's just really cool to hear you talk about that because, Liv and I were both adults when we started content creation, and we do this pretty much. You were old, and we do this for a living as our day jobs in other capacities. So that's just a really cool story you just shared. So thank you for that.
Of course.
Let's now, pivot one more time to the man who hides his face. You obviously have a character. You've got this whole persona, but you're still passionate about Hytale. You want Hytale.
Yeah.
I know you're mainly in the Minecraft space right now, but talk to me about what attracted you to Hytale and what you're looking to bring over to that space once the game comes out.
Yeah, so I guess it starts back with Minecraft as everyone, like I am that one generation that did grow up as when I was, back when I was Swervy's age, whatever age you are, like, like I grew up, no, I'm joking. When like I grew up with like Minecraft 1.0, that's when I got into Minecraft. I got in like in the beginning, like growing up with this generation of content creators. So I grew up with like Team Crafted, Dan TDM, Captain Sparkles, and that's what inspired me to be a content creator like early on. And then later on, I progressed through all the stages of content, experimenting. And like I realized I really did like making content. And then, 2019 comes around. I was actually in the skyblock genre, like Fezzy and 30 Virus. Obviously, I never made it there. But I did achieve like some sort of growth at some point. And then something happened, and I realized Minecraft content creation become very saturated to where you either do very specific niche, or you trend jack on, like, I always go back to this, Bedwars Keyboard ASMR. I guess Minecraft bought something's different challenge. 100 days of this. It's always some sort of trend that everyone does without personality like they did in the good old days. And that is something I miss with content. When you watch like the Vanos crew, Team Crafted, all these people have some sort of like iconic personality, and the only people you see that in the Minecraft community now are like the Dream SMP members, like the Monopoly, like that's the only iconic people you watch for their personality. And I realized Hytale, this game that I'd been watching since like I had seen it at launch, like at the very beginning. I remember watching Captain Sparkle's review of it. I thought it was him reviewing Trove. Like I thought it was Trove. Like I had no like idea what it was, and then I saw like Technoblade's impression of it like 2 days later. I was like, oh my god, this is the greatest game on earth! Like, I don't know, there was some giant fluctuation in the hype in my, like, angle from that. And then I was like, wow, I can't wait to play this game. And then, I had watched, like, all the creators. I watched, like, Hytale News, Canadian Flash, and then Quebec Corner for years, until Hytale News actually, had made some sort of audition about, like, being their voice commentator. And at that point in my content creation career, I've been doing Minecraft content for 2 or 3 years at that point. And I realized like it wasn't going anywhere because I tried doing personality content over trend jacking like everyone else did at the time. And so I needed like an escape from what like everyone else was doing. And I realized like why do something that everyone else does when I could be promoting this game that I've been hyped up for years now. And so that's like what got me to like jump. And then once I like took that job as like a commentator, then I met people like Jamble, Swurvy, then ExodusAblaze, and Fezzy, then all you guys too. And that's what got me into the community. I met like content creators, and I was like, wow, these people have very similar reasons why they're making content. Like, of course, they love the game, but they also want to have that, keystone in Hytale, where like they were the OGs. They were the ones there from the very beginning, and they're the ones that want to make content on it, and they don't care about what's going on right now with their channels. They are the ones that are setting their ground, preparing themselves for this amazing game that's going to come out within a few years. So like that's what got me inspired. And so like I guess the main thing why like I'm looking forward to play Hytale obviously is the game itself. Like I played Skyrim, I played Minecraft, I played Terraria, all these games. I'm a giant nerd. I don't have a life outside of gaming. But it was this combination of all my favorite games growing up, and then on top of the fact it was a new frontier. It's a new frontier where we can explore, we can do whatever content. You can do survival, you can do mini games, you can do mods, you can do this, you can do that. You can, I don't know, you can do ASMR if you want. And it's something that everyone can explore their niche without the fear of initially having to, like, you know, be blended in with a saturated cohort of content creators. And that's something that I really, really was excited about.
Yeah, it's been, I mean, you guys, again, I don't want to keep harping on it, but you guys are relatively new to this space compared to me, Livid, and Fezzy, but ever since day one, and Fezzy and Livid, you guys can chime in on this. I mean, we've had their drama, and Fezzy knows, you know, with 30, they had more drama than most, but, you know, with, don't even remember the names of these things. Livid and I are too old for that shit, to be honest with you guys. But this community is always just embraced. If you want to create and you want to try and leave your mark, whatever that mark is, it is one of the coolest things. It's the reason why Livid and I are still part of this community, even though we are really the only variety channel that also covers Hytale kind of consistently, because, you know, the Connors, the Violets, you know, more recently Jambles, Chaos has been around for a while. Like, we all see the potential, and we all just want everybody else to just find their footing in that world, because there's a lot of room. It's like going out into an open range, right? It's just like, okay, we're gonna do this at Legacy Gaming. You know, Exo, you're gonna do this thing, whatever that may be. 30 and Fezzy, you guys are gonna rock it out, do whatever you guys do. Like, like you said, Red, it's a blank canvas, and that is probably the coolest thing. Plus the community, minus, you know, the Hytale info subreddit, which is just filled with trolls and just the most sour people for the stupidest reasons. But like, our community of, you know, the content creators, the artists, just, it is a really positive place, and you don't see this other places. And again, Livid and I can really tell you, because we've covered survival games where people are just complete assholes. We've covered FPS. I mean, everybody is out for themselves. And let's not disillusion ourselves. We all know we want to succeed as individuals and as channels, but we can still talk to each other. We can still have a good time. We can still talk about the things that excite us. Yeah. When we were covering Outriders, I mean, it was like, you know, if you could get that morsel of information before somebody else or whatever, the competitiveness of it all, it's toxic, and it's hard. It's really hard. And survival genre is just as bad. But this is special. There's something here that if we can keep it going forward, could be really, really cool. But Red, I want to follow up with you, because I followed up with the other guys really quick. You have seen some really cool success as of late with your character, with your Twitch streams. What happened? Talk about that. I think people who don't know you would love to just hear a little bit about, like, you've been making content for years, like you've said that. Right. But all of a sudden in the last, 3 months, you're just on a rocket ship to the moon.
2 months. Yeah. It's been quite a interesting journey. You gotta realize, this channel, like the second one that I invented, which is now apparently my main, it started out as literally just a second channel because I'd kind of noticed over time what had happened in the Hytale community, that like the lack of information, the lack of some sort of communication, that something was going on that they had yet to tell us. So I was assuming that something was going to happen, but that second channel was more just an experiment about like me having fun, because I told Exodus that, like, although I really do have a passion for Hytale and I spend dozens of hours on my videos, the commentaries I made, that's not exactly what I've ever been about content. I'm more like a guy that likes, you know, having the interactions in the game. I like playing games. I like commentating with other people, joking around, and that's what it all started. I started as like a meme. I didn't care about the analytics, but then I had the opportunity of, because I was in the Minecraft community, to have a network of people who supported me, and they were all kind of questioning me when I got into Hytale, but luckily they had kind of vouched for me to get into this SMP, which is a survival multiplayer server in Minecraft that content creators do, and it's called the One Try SMP, which, unlike the others, it's a hardcore SMP, meaning you get one life, and if you die, you gotta wait a certain amount of time. And so what I would do was I would take this semi-serious server where everyone's like thinking, okay, I gotta survive. If I die, my cloud is gone. Like, I decided to take that idea, and instead of thinking about it like that, I took a very jokey vibe to it, and I started joking around. Like on the first day of the SMP when I joined, first I was laughing at everyone's graves that had died. I was calling them losers. Then like the next thing I would do, I went around selling socks to people. Then somehow I started a cult, which was kind of weird. Then I went and I got publicly executed, or I was going to get executed, but then I escaped, and then I built Florida. And it was like this weird adventure of, I don't know, it was bizarre. But I had framed it into this weird legendary adventure that was so hyped up. And then I put those clips on TikTok. And then TikTok decided, I like that. And then somehow it got 1 million views on TikTok. And that kind of sparked this initial growth. And before these 2 months that had happened, I have been averaging like 11 or 7 viewers on my Twitch streams for the past like 2 years. And then, like within the span of like a week, I'd gone from 11 viewers to 70. And it was this weird thing that I still have imposter syndrome about, where I can't even get into the like account like in my head of like how many viewers I'm averaging now, which is somehow like over 100, and I'm shocked about it. And it's really because of this weird like luck like that has come my way, and then the idea of like expanding my audience like by like using TikTok, using Twitch, using YouTube Shorts, using YouTube to grow my platform, then looping them all together where I stream, then I do TikToks and YouTube videos from it, and then send those people to Twitch back. And it's this weird journey. Like I honestly can't tell you the entire like way of everything happening. Like I can't even remember half of it, because I'm gonna be honest, my sleep schedule for the past 2 months is not the best. But
yep. It's a really cool story of just of you being able to cross-pollinate through all of these different platforms. It's something that any like marketing person will tell you. Well, you got to be on all these different places, but you took your persona, you took your character, you ran with some wacky ideas, and you rolled with it. And then you were also smart about growing your channel. So, I mean, after years of making content and seeing that stagnant growth, which I think a lot of content creators, especially stream-specific content creators, experience, you found something, and that's really awesome. So congratulations on that, man. That is huge.
Thank you.
Just remember, you were here, you were hanging out with us. Don't ever get too big for your britches. Because
dude, I don't even know like that. Yeah, of course I'm gonna hang out with you guys. You guys are my boys, you know?
Because at the end of the day, all those big Minecraft YouTubers and streamers will come over here to Hytale, and they will suck up all of the air, and we're gonna have to stick together and figure it out, because that's gonna be the key right there.
Right.
But maybe you'll be one of those big Minecrafters. We're just gonna kick your ass out and be like, nope, we don't like you anymore. See ya.
Who's that guy?
I don't know. Soft was stupid. Red's a dumb speller.
When you're all big, I hope you remember my name. Okay?
How can you forget?
I'm looking at you.
Oh my gosh. All right, so let's
you're looking at the camera, Swervy.
Let's now shift. We've introduced everybody. We've talked about our channel's growth. I want to talk about Hytale. This is a Hytale block table. So, Fezzy, you again have been in this space for a while. We're seeing a big delay. There are positives that could come from a big delay. So, from where you sit, and Livid, feel free to chime in on this too, because again, we've been following this game for a long, long time. You know, what are the positive things that can come from a big, massive, multi-year delay, especially knowing that there is probably substantial, if not unlimited, funds to keep growing a team, keep developing this game, and keep it in the pipeline?
Well, obviously there's a pretty good amount of positives to that. Like, you know, more development time is always a good thing for a game. Like, there's no contesting that. Like, the thing is, right, is as far as I want to guess, a lot of the work is obviously going into the systems that integrate with each other in the game that give you an experience to create in the first place. And especially now that we know they want to target multiple platforms, that's going to be really hard to make all of that streamline across the board. You know, like, Roblox did it, but Roblox is Roblox. Nothing's happened since Roblox that's as big as Roblox. So, you know, the positives, I mean, obviously, and also the thing is, whenever 2023, 2024, or so on and so forth comes along, and the game actually sparks up again, you mentioned things like funding. Well, since Riot's a part of the equation now and is a big you know, game publisher as well as a developer themselves, the advertisement, like, funding that's going to go into Hytale might bring everyone back that's gone, because we all know what happened with Valorant. Like Valorant, you could not look anywhere without seeing Valorant when it first came out, with Twitch drops and all of the big streamers playing it, and Riot knows how to advertise a game. They're like Riot's, as far as I know, I mean, 60 million views on a trailer, probably going to give Hytale the AAA treatment when it comes to basically everything. So more time just means a better game at the end of the day. Like, we're going to see, whether it be optimization improvements, which have to come to, be cross-platform, expansions on the systems we've already seen. They've already said that they've gone back to the drawing board with a lot of things, and obviously they have to make stuff that's going to work across the board. So, the way that I see it is, it's probably going to be a better game. I would hope with that much time behind it.
Have you seen the combat in that new blog post? That looked awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Let's save the combat. We're gonna talk about the combat. Because obviously we gotta talk about the combat. Can you just settle down, please?
I'll go down. I'll be all small.
Go drink some more water and settle down.
You know what? Fine. I'm gonna go get more water. Does that make you happy?
He said he didn't want anybody to see his red shorts. I just want everybody to notice he was wearing red shorts. There you go. I think he stole those from Reddoons.
Yeah.
It's on wireless. Thanks for pointing that out.
Livid, anything you wanted to chime in and piggyback off of Fezzy there?
Yeah, I do. There's a lot of like negativity towards the fact that they want to do mobile, and I think everybody's observed that, and everybody's like, why are you wasting time with mobile development when you could be just pushing out a PC version and releasing stuff from that point on, right? I'm of the camp, and I think Cody is as well, and all of you're free to chime in and agree or disagree there. But games these days do not survive if you don't launch them feature complete and platform complete. If you try to roll things out over the course of months or years, you will hemorrhage players and your game will die. There is tons of games to back up that happening. Maybe one slips through every so often, but that's like a rare case. Like, people these days don't have the patience to wait for these things anymore. Right. So I think their strategy of going and saying, hey, we need to make this cross-platform and cross-play at launch is one of the best decisions they could make, even if it has delayed them, 2, 3 years, 4 years, who knows where it goes at that point. Like Fezzy said, the marketing behind Riot is going to have no problem bringing a huge swath of people back. Like, if they were able to get 60 million views on a trailer with no help from a publisher before, imagine what's going to happen when Riot goes, hey, have you guys seen this game? Like, I think there's a lot of things that people overlook, and a lot of people just want the game. It's a lot of, like, I don't want to say selfishness, but a lot of people, they just want the game to be out, and they don't look at the big picture of, if you release this now versus release it later, I think you're going to have a much more stable product, especially when it's a platform, right, that wants to support creators and the growth of that community. And if you have more things available at the launch of that game, you have way more options for people to branch out, way more options for people to do, just really unique things that wouldn't be there if you rush it out the door.
Yeah. You very rarely get marketing dollars too when you start something in early access. Like, I can see I could see Riot spending some money and giving them some money to market a game that, if they launched a PC platform first and then rolled it out, I could see them giving them some marketing bucks. But if they show Riot, here's the game, it's done, it's everything we want it to be, here's the bucket list of things that are on it, we want money, we want to roll it out as big as possible, I think they're much more likely to give them buku bucks, like 3, 4, 5 times, or just an insane number, if the game is feature complete, like you said. And even games like, I'm trying to think back to the games that launched in early access that managed to really keep an audience. And one that comes to mind to me is Risk of Rain 2. Which one?
That one too. No Man's Sky. That was like that. They went through like development hell for like a certain amount of time, where they post their game with literally nothing. They were promising all these features. It was like literally Star Citizen, if you guys have heard of that, in comparison. And then
Cody started.
Oh, are you also a Star Citizen fan?
No,
I am a Star Citizen fan.
I'm not.
See, just to put that into perspective, if you know anything about that game, I have a brand new merchant ban that now I feel scammed.
I do too.
Okay, good. You were cultured, but then again, we all got scammed. But basically, like, No Man's Sky, like, they literally, like, they launched, the game died, then they somehow progressed and persevered and came back, and now the game is actually pretty good. But,
Well,
like, it's kind of like...
They took a process that was broken, and they made a lot of broken promises, and then made the conscious decision to go back and fix the game. That is different than what I think Liver was talking about, where a game launching now needs to be feature complete, especially so what I was saying was Risk of Rain 2. The game was pretty much complete when it launched, and it continued to roll out more content, but the loop was there. And that's really important to make sure that gameplay loop, that it's kind of watertight. And then you can add on to that. But again, if you're trying to get marketing bucks and really push something out there, you're not really going to see that if you're pushing out a game that's like 25% complete. So
like a game, for instance, that I think Cody enjoys. I know I really enjoy it. A bunch of my friends really enjoy it that we play with on the channel. Hood. Hood was a fantastically solid game in what it was, but it didn't launch with all its features, all its modes, all its stuff, and it is barely able to hold 100 players now.
Wow.
It's a fantastic game, but the problem is everybody's jumped ship. There's a lot of other games that have launched with feature complete statuses, right? And they're not gonna salvage that. I don't think any large update or radical change of the game is going to bring back that community, and that's sad.
And speaking of all that talk, isn't it kind of ironic? Like, you guys have probably seen that on the Hytale Info Reddit, how there's a coalition of a few people who are like, we demand Hytale in 2021. We need it now. We don't care if it's not done. We want it. Which I think is the most ironic sense. They're trying to compare it to how Minecraft launched with literally nothing. Right. They didn't even have, I think back then, they didn't even have food bars or anything like that. Not even Sprint.
There was nothing.
There was nothing,
the
right?
Gaming
And they're saying that if Minecraft did it, they can too, which is wrong. Minecraft was nothing, then it became something.
And it was the first thing in its genre. It was the first one. It had all the time in the world to do whatever the hell it wanted to do.
And it barely did anything. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay, so obviously there's a lot of mixed feelings, but I think there's level heads will always prevail, and obviously there's no pressuring them. They're going to take as long as they need. So one of the things that has sustained the Hytale community throughout the ebbs and flows of communication and content has been the art community. So Exo, I think you're most positioned to talk about this as an artist, as a designer, as somebody that knows that space probably better than the rest of us. The gap is big. Do you think the art community will be able to keep some of that traction, or do you think even that's going to go away?
Well, yeah, I don't know. There's obviously going to be a lot of slowdown with that, because there's not going to be as many new things to create art on. And I think that's what really inspires a lot of the artists in the community, is all the new features, the new mobs, the new videos and clips they see. They make drawings or animations of that, new models, whatever the case may be. So there's obviously going to be a little lack of that kind of stuff. It's actually been one of my kind of goals, is to kind of try to keep that community alive and give them things that are exciting and new and may inspire them to create their own Hytale art or content in some way. So I've got some stuff that I'm still gonna do, and I'm still working with other artists, but as the whole art community in a whole, I don't know how much we're going to see. Maybe every time the devs speak up about something and say, hey, we've got a blog post, or here's something, then people will make art or memes or whatever the case may be.
What do you see the potential for that community once the game does come out? It's a very present art community within a gaming space. Fan art's always a thing, community art's always a thing, but it has always felt like the Hytale community and the art scene has been just something special and different. What do you see the potential for that community?
I see lots of people in the community becoming content creators of their own, not necessarily, hi, I'm in front of a camera talking about a video game, but I'm behind the scenes working with other content creators. I'm making my own music, my own stories, my own art. And because of Hytale being able to be customized, those artists are going to find jobs and passions within the game that they can use their talents in and help others, inspire others, and just create lots of cool stuff. So yeah, there's so many opportunities that artists can have.
Is there something in particular that you want to latch onto when the game comes out? From the art perspective, I know you mentioned the kind of like machinima style thing, but from an art perspective.
From the art perspective, yeah, I want to include a lot of like, I'm probably like if I ever see the day where I'm a more well-known content creator by the time Hytale comes out and I can afford it, I have a lot of cool like projects I want to do. I'm trying to make my own idea concept for a server, and that requires a lot of concept art, music, and story arcs, and just a whole ton of stuff goes behind that. And I'm not someone who's, you know, qualified to do most of that stuff. So I have to have a team with me and friends that I know can make amazing things and have great talents. But yeah, machinima stuff is something that I've always enjoyed watching, especially in Minecraft when I was younger. But it's very hard to find that on YouTube nowadays. So I'm hoping that I can maybe do something with that because of the way Hytale is made, and I don't know, like the sky's the limit. Like I still don't even know exactly what I'm doing, but I have like an idea of what I want to do in that sense. So that's all I can really say on that. But yeah, I'm gonna do what I can. I'm not exactly sure, but I have an idea.
Nice, great. All right, well, this question was for Livid, but since Swervy decided he wanted to just talk, let's talk about the combat, Swervy. Let's talk about it. So that was one of the biggest things from this blog post, right? And as Fezzy alluded to before, they've gone back to the drawing boards multiple times on different things. The combat was one of the big ones. Now, we are talking a pure evolution of the combat from just click, swing, click, swing. So there's a lot of potential there for just elevating the gameplay experience. So when you saw the combat, when you broke it down, when you looked at it, you know, what were the things that stood out to you, and you know, where do you see it going from there?
Before I discuss that, do you have a problem with me talking? Isn't this a talk show, Kodiak? I'm pretty sure that's the whole point.
Oh, I forgot. Sorry, my bad.
It's okay. I'm just gonna sip my water and move on. Anyway, okay, first of all, I wanted to talk about like the comparison between the old combat that we saw in like the trailer and the new clips that they just shown us in the blog post. It's like a huge change. Like there was like charge up attacks and like swings, and it was really cool. I actually I watched Chris's or Canadian Flash's analysis on the combat. Yeah, and it was sorry, I'm blanking. God.
You wanted to talk. The floor is yours, man. We're all sitting here waiting.
Oh God. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna.
Should I go to Livid? That's who it was originally supposed to go to.
No. I'm a big boy. I can.
He's got this. Okay, you got this.
I just have to gather. I have to gather. Yeah. There's the charge up attacks, and like when the one I was talking about, where there was like I think it's swung up and then like jabs. I'm talking about with the sword thing. There's like a build up. Like the more you swing, the more damage you do to enemies. I'm assuming it's like some kind of bar, right? That builds to that charge up, I think, because Chris explained it pretty well. I'm just gonna call him Chris. And it's really cool to see, because like most combat systems and a lot of games are just like boring, and I'm like, I'd rather do something else. Like, but the fact that Hytale is gonna offer a complex combat system, and for a block game too, like the closest thing that we have to a like a complicated combat system is in Terraria, and that is just like 2D, right? So it's just like, although it's cool and all, it's like it kind of does the same thing, just more damage. But like the Hytale thing, and then there was also like the other clip with the what do you call that? The stick with the ball thingy,
the mace,
and you know where like the swinging mace, a mace, yeah. Oh God, you're really tell how young I am. It's really cool because like he went like back and forth, and then he freaking sorry, I didn't want to say the F word. I'm not used to being PG. he grabbed the stick and then he jabbed like with the other side. I just thought that was so cool. And then at the end when he jumped and like smashed the ground, I don't know why I'm doing the hand actions. I'm just a.
Can you actually just stand up and can you just actually act it out for us?
Words.
For those who haven't seen it, I'm demonstrating.
Yeah, can you just demonstrate the whole thing, the sequence for me?
You want me to do it?
Yeah, if you don't mind, just so everybody gets an idea.
Oh, me in my red shorts. Okay. It's like a. So I have to get up here. No, it's like a jab, and he did the swing. You did the. It's in the that thing, I was on.
Yeah,
That's what this is all about, man.
And then, the skeletons, they went flying, and it was so cool.
So on a more
Like, I can't
serious
wait to
note,
do
Fezzy, you and 30 are in a competitive space. You're in you're PvE. You're thinking about objectives and things like that constantly. And I know 30 obviously comes from the Bed Wars world. There's a lot of PvP implications with the way that they've kind of redesigned their combat. Opens up a ton of new doors. So, does that change the way that you think about the multiplayer, the PvP in Hytale?
Well, no, because the thing is about the way that Minecraft has changed is typically the developers have taken it in a direction that the player base doesn't want. So what the player base has done, and I'm including Hypixel in that, even though I know they're like gods amongst players that make what people buy Java Edition for, essentially. They didn't really improve the system, they improved the sandbox that it exists in. So, with Bed Wars as an example, I guess, the combat is the same as 1.8. Nothing's different. The difference is that they changed the utilities you can use. They added fireballs. They made TNT much more important. There's metas around those. Enchanted sticks that knock you off islands. Like it's not necessarily the swinging, the animation, or the combat that's different. It's the utilities you can use.
So the system hasn't changed. So what is with seeing this new combat system in Hytale? Again, I think that opens up a lot of doors, right?
Well, the thing is with me, personally, it's more like I don't really. It can look all it wants to look. Once I actually get my hands on it, I'll be able to tell. Because everyone loves The Witcher 3, and it's like fluid looking and beautiful. I got my hands on it and I hated it because of the way that it moved and the animations worked and the combat worked. I refunded the game. It felt clunky. It looked really pretty. It looks really pretty with the animations because it's animation based combat and that. With Hytale, the way that I see it, as long as server registration, tick rate, and that are all up to snuff with modern competitive games, and the system is fluid enough, I'm sure that they have plenty of insight from the community that they're like the demographic they're targeting. Then I'm not really too worried about it, to be honest. From what we saw, it looks cool, but I guess we'll see once we actually get our hands on it, at least in my opinion, on how I'll feel about it.
You just alluded to a couple things, from the competitive aspect. Sorry, give me one more second with Fezzy here. You and 30 really dive deep into some of the nitty-gritty details with the games that you play, specifically, obviously, the Hypixel stuff. Is there something that, is a must-have for you when it comes to Hytale and it comes to the systems? You are just like me. You are obsessed with the systems that drive the games, not necessarily the frosting on the cake. So is there something that has to absolutely be there for you?
Well, most of my demands and the kind of issues I have with Minecraft combat doesn't come from my experience with Minecraft. It comes with my experience from like Counter-Strike, because I was big in the Counter-Strike scene for a long time. And biggest thing for me, must have, like if you want a popular PvP space, is server registration, like good netcode, obviously, but like the tick rate, that communication between the server and the client happening rapidly. It could technically, be more expensive resource-wise, but Counter-Strike is like 10 years old. The actual franchise is older than I've been alive, so you can make it work. And I don't know, the way that I see it is that the problem with Minecraft, I think maybe I said it on the last one, but it was like a year ago, so I'll say it again. Minecraft has what's called a 20 TPS, 20 ticks per second. The communication rate between the server and client is 20 times a second, which sounds like a lot on paper, but it's trash. It's garbage. CSGO runs on 64, more than triple the speed. And competitively, people still don't even play on that. They play on 128 because 64 still isn't good enough. So, I mean, think about it this way: play a game at 60 FPS, 120 FPS, and then 20 FPS. That's what the server's seeing, essentially, if you want like a visual representation. 20 updates a second. And that is not good. Everyone knows that plays Minecraft PvP avidly that the hit registration's weird. Ping is like a huge player because obviously Minecraft doesn't have lag compensation like Call of Duty or something. Like it's a mess. And it's a fun mess because Hypixel's really got it in order. They've done the best they can with it. But it's in terms of technicality, kind of a mess.
Take that one step back for me, for people like me who need to think in small numbers and terms. When you say the server is seeing it 20 times a second, what does increasing that mean? Obviously, we know what more frame rates mean, but when you're talking about ticks per second, the higher the number means what to the player?
More communication. For example, like knockback and hit registration determination is all done within the communication between your client and the server. The client hits a player, tells the server I hit that player and they're going to get knocked back this far because I hit them at this velocity or whatever. I'm not an expert on it, but I know very fundamental level, and that's kind of how it works. And when in competitive games like Valorant even runs standard 128 tick, which means instead of 20 times a second where the server's saying, hey, I'm knocking this guy back this far, I hit this guy fell and died, this guy did whatever. That instead of happening 20 times a second, that's happening 128 times a second. So, you know, say for example, someone with a weird internet connection sends some weird packets. The server, especially if it doesn't have any kind of compensation, is gonna get confused and it's gonna be inaccurate, which is why hit registration's terrible in Minecraft and laggy players are teleporting around and there's no interpolation, there's no AI guessing where they're supposed to be when they actually do have some connection issues. There's rubber banding, there's reach problems because your client is can be 2 blocks ahead of where you are on the server, so the person that's swinging at you can't hit you because you're hitting 2 blocks ahead of yourself because the server's seeing, you know, a while ago it's too slow. And especially because Hypixel recently had a problem where it was DDoSed or something like that, and they had to switch to a different. They switched to Cloudflare, which is bringing even more performance problems. Like, it's a mess. It's pretty much like. I gotta tell you,
this is one of the This is part of It's not the reason. It's part of the reason why Minecraft just doesn't make any sense to me. This is one of the biggest franchises, or not biggest franchise. It's the biggest game in history, right? It's one of the biggest, top 5. And there's still shit about that I'm learning about like this that just does not they have more money than they know what to do with. And you're still telling me that, you know, it does not weird. Compute in my brain.
I don't know if in more recent updates they fixed that. I've heard talks that on Bedrock it can go a lot higher.
I've heard that too, that Bedrock servers are a lot better at performance. That's why recently
Microsoft, the Hive's not on Java anymore. They killed it. It's only a Bedrock server now because Bedrock, I mean, you can just tell by looking at a player looking around that there's a lot more going on behind the server space there. Because Microsoft has their hands on it. 1.8, did 1.8 come out when it was even owned by Microsoft? I don't even know. 1.8 is old. 1.8 is a very old update, but after that they changed the way combat works. So, you know, people didn't like it. And back then, 20 TPS was the standard because it was developed to be a survival game. You're punching a zombie, you're punching a creeper, and you know, it doesn't matter if the creeper has weird hit reg, it's a creeper. What is it going to do? But now that it's kind of hyper competitive with these game modes, I mean, you know, with even ranked being a thing in Discords and that weird universe, it's just, I just don't think Minecraft is up to snuff to compete in any way. When I saw early, with Minecraft Monday and people competing for money, I was like, really? You're gonna make people compete for money under those circumstances, especially globally, remotely from around the world? It's just gonna be a train wreck. And it was. It was a mess. So I don't know. The way that I see it is netcode, server registration, the client being able to handle it, it needs to be smooth. It needs to be up to date with something like Valorant. And luckily, Riot made Valorant, and Riot owns Hytale. So, and you know, Valorant's now one of the biggest esports games out there. So Riot knows what they're doing with that kind of stuff. And considering Riot's helping development side with Hytale, at least they're offering that. I don't actually know.
Would love to know more about that, to be honest with you.
I have high hopes in terms of technical aspect as to how the game's going to feel in terms of player versus player and that, because it even says on the website built for competitive play, and they're not just saying that because we want to sell it more. I mean, sure they do, but they're saying it because they're probably actually building the game to be competitive. And
they were saying that.
Maybe
to be fair to them, they were saying that before they were, backed by Riot.
Yeah, but I mean, even single developers are making games that have a higher like communication rate. Like it's not hard. But I mean, I'm not like too bent up over it because 1.8 is so old and it wasn't even developed to be a PvP game. So is what it is. But I guess hopefully
there are a lot of lessons to learn from the past. And obviously you look at all of these games, not, we've talked about Terraria, we've mentioned Trove, obviously Minecraft. What the heck was the other one that was, what's the one that we played for a hot minute there, Livid?
Which one?
Oh, it was another, it doesn't matter.
Cube World?
No, not Cube World. That's a disaster. There's so many of them. There's so many lessons to learn from all of them, right? And it almost feels like because there's so much money, there's so much building up around this company that, again, it's that little light at the end of the tunnel that we're all, now the tunnel's like way down there, but like there's that little light now and you're like, oh man, they got the people, they got the money, they got the experience, they've got just so many things moving in the right direction. And I know we're coming up on the 1 hour mark here, but I do want to talk about the one thing that myself, Livid, and Fezzy have talked about before, and I'm going to let the new guys talk about this one. Whoever wants to take it first can. Communication has always been one of the worst things, in my opinion, and I have been the voice behind it, but I know Livid agrees with me, that Hytale and Hypixel has been terrible at communicating from day one with their community outside of memes on Twitter. And Livid knows that I hate memes in general, and I hate Twitter. I'm an old person. Memes? I'm an old guy.
Kodiak, then learn to love them, because that's just sad.
It's a new generation, Kodiak.
But here's the thing.
On the internet, you cannot like memes.
I know. The thing that you guys don't really know about me is, I'm a very type A, like just a driven person, and like I find memes to be non-important, right? It doesn't provide much in my life. It doesn't give me anything other than like, okay, great. So when you're
one of those people that cares about actual life and like living.
I'm
and stuff.
old, Swurvy. Deal with it. When you're 30 years old, talk to me when you've doubled your lifespan, and we'll chat again.
I don't want to think about that. I hate I'm young and I'm gonna enjoy.
Enjoy, man.
God, you
enjoy all your memes, but in all seriousness, it has always been an issue. Communicating with. And it's not necessarily them saying, sending me a DM saying, hey, Kodiak, what's going on? Because I don't expect that from developers. They're making a game. But when you're joking on Twitter, when you're doing your thing, it feels like, hey, why aren't you updating your community? You're spending time on Twitter talking about things. Like, it's always been the thing. And I know, Exo, you've had some experiences just being frustrated by it. Red, Swervy, I'm sure all of you have experienced it at some point. So just what do you hope to see communication-wise in the future, in these next couple years?
Can I go? Is that okay?
Yeah, man.
Sure.
All right. So when I was first getting into the community, and I was kind of looking at it, because I was like, communication is key. I feel like it is, and I was interested in that, and looking at all their Twitter stuff, and looking at how they had blog posts and stuff, and I thought it was actually pretty good, until I kept learning, and I actually knew what was going on, and they just give us these minute details, like, okay, cool, there's a penguin in the water, okay, all right, because I'm thinking about that one image that they sent, like, I don't care, I just want to know what's happening with the game, and I remember, I was like, okay, at that one point where they're like, at the end of the year, big news is coming. Just kidding.
This was a big news, Swervy.
We gotta wait. It was
news. Got him.
Oh, they did get us good, and they made us wait 6 months for it. But who's counting? I'm not counting. But yeah, it's honestly, like, I used to think it was good, and I mean, they're nice. They're nice developers,
nice. Yep.
And I respect them. But they're not nearly as transparent as I originally thought, which is kind of concerning. And I guess what I hope is that as we keep ramping up, because right now, I mean, what are they going to tell us? Oh, we've we've changed the grass texture. Like, I mean, they're redoing stuff, and like I get that. But like when the game is ramping up and stuff, I really hope that we see more transparency, because that is where so many games fail, and that's where so many people get upset. Like, I remember the good old days of Fortnite. You know, I used to be into that, and then they just stopped listening to the community. They stopped updating us, and it was just, you know, it was not good. I mean, I know it's Fortnite, it's all cringe and stuff now, but like, it generally used to be a fun game, and I used to kind of respect the devs for what they did. They updated the game frequently. They were like giving us detailed, like what were they, they weren't blog posts, it was like game update notes. I don't even remember, but patch notes, that's what I'm thinking of. And like, they were just open. They were pretty open, but then they stopped, and then the game turned into what it is now. I'm pretty sure they're aliens. I don't even know how that works. It's supposed to be a gun game. But yeah, as long as I get it's development stage, so I get it's not like we have no idea. They could keep up the kind of loose kind of communication that they've been doing, or they could turn it around, which is what I really hope they do, because I love that kind of like knowing what's going on. And I feel like the community would be super grateful, and they could do really well, and all they have to do is be honest. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Did anybody else just see Red drink some water through his sock?
Yeah.
The hell?
What?
Nothing.
That defies
What do you
physics
mean?
for sure.
Nothing, man. I heard Swervy speak. That was well spoken, Swervy, and then I just got completely like blindsided by that one.
You ruined my speech, Reddoons. I was so good.
Okay.
I just hope that sock is washed.
I've gone through two.
I gotta watch it like every day, otherwise this is not hygienic. Dude.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, Exo Red, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I do. So
Yeah, you go ahead.
thanks, man. Appreciate
Oh,
it.
Exo.
Of course.
We appreciate you. You're
thank
awesome,
you.
Exo. High
You too,
five.
Swervy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
you're
got
done
a high five
talking.
today.
Yeah, I just
I just
laughed at
feel
all you
third
guys.
wheeled
Sorry.
at this point.
Wait, do we have the same? Do we have the same bed sheets?
Why are y'all comparing bed
Possibly,
sheets?
yeah. Don't look at my bed that way, dude.
Sorry, I got all distracted.
Oh god, I can't wait
You're
to see
good.
30-year-old Swervy.
Oh, it's not gonna be pretty. I can already tell.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
Go ahead, Exo.
Yeah, so I haven't actually had a blog post since I've like been in the Hytale community. I came after the dreaded December blog post that everyone
Interesting.
talks about. So I had to like think like, what do you make videos on without any like news? Like I didn't really want to be a news and update channel like kind of how everyone else was later on into the coming past months. I'm like, okay, it's getting a little dry. Here's some news. Here's a postcard. Here's the past 4 postcards. So it definitely is really hard to like support something that you care about without knowing like what the heck is going on. And I understand like, you know, being a Hytale YouTuber, whatever that means, you know, very basic things everyone's doing. So I don't like to call myself, be like, oh, I'm special because I'm just doing the same thing everyone else is. But even like with having access to like, oh, one of the devs follows me and I can DM them, like it's not that kind of communication people really want. Like I understand they're working hard and they need to work. I wouldn't want someone messaging me all the time while I'm working. So I get that, but it's more of like that, like the reason they're making Hytale is for the community. And it feels like at the moment, I know it's not true for the most part, but it feels like they're kind of forgetting the community. Like, look at all this cool stuff that people have done in the past few months without there being any news, because they're supporting the game. Everyone is passionate. Everyone in the community who's done anything is very passionate about this game, and I don't feel like it's fair to not keep everyone in the loop a little bit better. Like, I'm not saying spoil the game or like, you know, tell us the story arc, because I understand they want to keep that special. That's going to be a special part of playing the game, but just like interact more, like let everyone know that everything is okay. Here's a little, you know, this is some cool new features that are actually things we haven't shown before. It's not just like, hey, we like Swervy said, we updated the grass. Your character can blink twice as fast as normal. They really need to start focusing on talking with the community, giving creators something to talk about, whether it's news or just something, because there hasn't been anything for the past 6 to 7 months until this last blog post, and now everyone's kind of upset about it. But yeah,
I think
go ahead.
I think a big thing in that too is like, I feel like the community would be more willing to be involved in seeing like the evolution of these systems rather than here's the system. You know what I mean? Like, they have to rework combat, and is that because they've been all internal and there's no outside, input?
Right.
Like, could that be a factor? Like, I want to see like what the iterations of things are that they're doing. Like, I'd like to know, like, maybe the community just overwhelmingly likes a certain direction for something. Yeah. And like, I understand that developers, they're making their game, but at a certain point too, catering to your community does a lot of good for your game versus completely ignoring it, right? And I know not everybody's like a developer, and there's armchair developers and all that kind of stuff like that. Like, I completely get people like get into that kind of realm, but like, I think there's something to be said about going through your process of your core systems to see like what is and what could be, versus just here it is and this is what you get.
Yeah, the only example we saw of that was, and it goes back to the meme, Swervy. Like, we did see Noxy put a poll out a while back about the horror element. Do you guys remember that one? Do you want it to be scary?
Ooh.
Do you remember that one?
Oh.
That's a good way to pull your community, pull the people that follow you, to just see where are people, and then maybe you unpack that more. You dive deeper into, okay, what does that mean? If the majority of people say they want it kind of scary, what does that mean? Break it down. That's how you effectively communicate with your community. But then the one after that was about the burning Quebecs, and I'm literally sitting there like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Like, I love Connor. I
don't understand why anybody would ever burn them.
He's a great dude, but like, I don't care about burning Quebecs.
You've got choices now.
Don't burn the Quebecs.
If you want to, you could.
I suppose you could get there, but what I'm saying is there are ways that you can probe the community and then drill down on that even more to feel like it's a two-way street. And it doesn't always have to be a two-way street, but it can feel like it.
Yeah.
Red, anything you wanted to chime in there?
I mean, most of my experience has been very similar to X. So like, we both came in around the same time, and I think we started content. I think he started a bit earlier before me, but we around the same time started like around the like similar type of content, where because we didn't have that source of information that many before us did. I remember like Exo and I would sit in calls a lot, like theorizing and figuring things out together. We were like, you know what? We can't be Hytale News, we can't be Canadian Flash, we can't be Quebec Corner, where we look at we're not the guys that analyze everything. We can't do that. Like that's not what we're about. And I feel like that, sure, a lot of people do rely on that, but there is a beauty in the unknown. When you don't know what's going on, you appreciate things so much more. So I feel like that communication thing is really a double-edged sword, because you got to realize, right, when we got those weekly postcards, when we got that blog post, everything was on that. Like, I understand people want information, but it's like spoiling something before you even get the whole thing, right? Like, we're so in depth about like analyzing these small intricate things, like, wow, like Swervy was saying, wow, there's a penguin in the water. Like sure, like maybe that's interesting once you play the game, but at the moment I don't need to know that. So maybe it's improper communication, or it's the fact that because I've come in when I did, that at times like the communication doesn't actually matter in terms of content. Like, sure, it does for many, but there are ways around it, in my opinion, like at times.
And it's funny because
you're not a fan of the. Oh, sorry, Cody.
No, go ahead.
I needed to make a joke. You're not a fan of the Hytale News deaths into the 4 podcast.
You tried.
Postcards. I ruined the joke. Oh, Kodiak, you threw me off. You threw me off. It's all your fault, Kodiak, because I was going to say it, and then you interrupted my flow.
Considering I've commentated for Hytale News, reading those like freaking like commentaries about what happens. Like, I remember like Exo and I spoke about that once. There was like one specifically. See, you know exactly what I'm talking about right now. Where like there was this one postcard they posted, which I think it was either in Zone 1 or Zone 3, with like the green gems in the mountains, like the rocks. the glowing rocks, and then I think you see like a Troy camp, or you see some sort of camp off in the distance, and like literally on the script, like they're like, and as we can see right here, there's some sort of green glowing rock. That's about it. Like
Very interesting.
Like literally, like I don't even know what to say. Like it feels like either it's because of improper communication, or it's because they're communicating these things that are at the moment more or less irrelevant to what we need to know or what we want to know. Like
I tell lore, green
Like,
rocks.
yeah,
Crazy.
green rocks. Green rocks attack again. They're here for part 2. Like
It's
I don't even know
canonical.
that. Right, but like it's kind of like that. Like I feel like at the moment, like there's this obsession with like we're feasting on these small breadcrumbs when like we're just looking at it to get by another week or like another month. When like we're not looking as much as the end goal. When like we should just be happy that they're developing the game and let them take their time. I feel like. But then again, a lot of us are content creators and we need content, so there is that.
You mentioned before in the conversation with us, you were talking about that being disingenuous in the Minecraft community, how there's a lot of what was the term you used? Something pipe jacking, something like
trend jacking.
Trend jacking. You know,
Right.
but like Livid and I are guilty of it, and 30 is definitely guilty of it. I can't say for you guys because I know I know our content, Livid 30's content.
I love views
more.
Right.
Yeah, you want the views, you want the growth, and you latch onto the things that you have to talk about. So, but this definitely, I mean, it starts at the top from the developers. If they give you X, you make whatever you can out of X. You can't make something out of nothing unless you're like somebody that likes to theorize or speculate, which a lot of people don't like to do, and a lot of people don't like to watch that kind of content unless it's really well structured. So going back to the communication piece, like you have to get met halfway on that road. Sure. Are people pissed off that we're talking about the same 4 postcards? Yeah, of course they are. But if there's only 4 postcards to talk about, and it literally is grass, penguins, here's a flower, and look, we have a cow.
Yeah.
You know, what do you expect from content creators?
That
It's
is
tough.
a good point. That really is, because like recently we've had this like argument from the viewers that like a lot of them blame us for making this type of content, which is ironic because we're literally just we're dealing with what we're getting. Like many of us like are just making the postcard reviews or like doing this and that, but like there isn't much to do, and that is kind of like the problem is that we're at that point where there isn't much that we can do. And you're right that trend jacking is more or less the only thing to do right now. And like going back to that, like what I was mentioning was more that there is trend jacking, and then there's trend jacking with personality. There's a good way of taking your own spin on things. Like Exo like has like recently done like certain analysis on things. So like he takes a spin on the community, for instance, not necessarily posting or focusing on the postcards per se. For instance, like when he interviewed the kid that got the key, right? Like that's not something that completely focuses on the postcard. Sure, it has to do with certain thing that's happening, but at times there calls for personality and content, and that is something that I feel like content creators right now, because we're at the point where we are, we're too reliant on the information rather than what we can bring to the table with it.
Yeah, and you've proven that you have, you know, there are ways to do it outside of, you know, granted you are in the Minecraft space, it's different, but yeah, Exo and you, and I mean, granted, I know 30 covers Hytale kind of as a side, and Swervy, you're in the Minecraft space right now, but there are ways, you're absolutely right. But I do think, honestly, it is a two-way street, and hopefully in the next 2 years, we're not completely in the dark. There's something, but I think the reality is that we're gonna be dark for a little bit. So my final question to you guys, and we'll wrap it up here. Keep it relatively short because we are over an hour, but I would love to know, you all have passions and goals and dreams. I want to know, what does the next year for your channel, your community, your brand look like? And I'm going to start with Fezzy. Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know. Just
That's an honest answer, man.
I don't know. The thing is, like, moving back a little bit, I don't know. It's just, you know, after everything, you know, with the delays and stuff, at this point, really the only goal I have is to just maintain an income and start a life of my own. Because, like, I talked about this in the last time. Like, it's been it's half of my lifetime, more of it now, more than half of my lifetime has been spent to get to this point. And the fact that we put all of our cards on Hytale, which I know is like kind of irresponsible, but we put all our cards on Skyblock, so taking risks is how we got here. And it's not going to work. I don't know what we're gonna do. I mean, you know, that's the thing, is that at this point, because me and 30 are both, you know, completely it's basically looking out into the gray right now. We're looking out into the gray and just hoping we can escape the algorithmic trap that we've been in for you know 2-3 years now, and clinging on to whatever we can get to at this point is all we have left, because you know all that, you know, half my lifetime would have been spent for nothing otherwise. So I don't know, it's stressful, and we'll have to see, because right now, I mean, in the immediate future, I'm just trying to look at how I can get my own life started with some kind of stability behind it, because right now it's more of like a kind of in the air, because considering our crutch is gone, we don't know what's going to happen to the channel, because Skyblock has a fuse and it's getting ever shorter, because I don't know if it's a Hypixel thing, but they got like a problem like in the Hypixel like company as a whole, with communication, with updates, with all of that. Like, I'm a little critical of the Hytale kind of timeline and the Skyblock timeline, because they're very similar. It's just with Skyblock I've been experiencing it head on, and at this point just trying to make things work for as long as we can, until either the ship sinks or we take the dip and move on somewhere, because right now we're just getting by until something else catches. Gotcha. Basically.
All right.
So
Exo, I know we had a little back and forth yesterday about this. What are your thoughts? What's next for you?
Well, as you said earlier, I'm trying to break into the Sea of Thieves audience, because I know a lot of creators there who are doing very well and who are kind of like the mainstream creators in the Sea of Thieves scene, and I work with a lot of them, or have worked with them, so I'm like, hey, I know how it's done here. I know, you know, how to play the game. I know what content is being done. I've been a part of a ton of videos, so I'm like, okay, there's another like piece of the puzzle that I can fit in this community. Let me go back and see what I can do there and see what happens. But honestly, I'm not sure. So that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, is that I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know if anything's going to work, because I've been betting on Hytale, and I knew that it was like a big risk, you know, making a Hytale channel and just focusing on a game that's not out yet, because I see it with other YouTubers where they're like, oh, this new game's coming out, it's going to be great, we're all about it, and then bad news hits. So, I mean, if I'm being honest, half of all this stuff that I've been doing for the past 6 months, like I moved out because I thought like I need to get ready for a Hytale, and now I'm like, uh-oh, I gotta figure something out. So, I know I'm gonna be okay, but it's all about trying to figure out what exactly is gonna work. Okay. I'm still gonna have the same style of content and try to be as creative as I can, because unlike most creators, I don't really like to trend jack. Like I'll do it for like, you know I got to get people to click on my video, but I want them to be pleasantly surprised when they click on the video and be like, hey, this is different. Let's see. I want to intrigue them. And like Reddoons said earlier, kind of bring back more personality, because that's something I miss in the whole YouTube and content creation industry. There's a lot of creators you see now that like they just don't have that personality. They're just doing something. They don't have like a reason why they're doing it. They're not passionate. Maybe they're passionate about playing a game or having fun, but they don't have more than that. From the looks of it, that is. That's not a specific person I'm talking about, but just in general. So I'm gonna try to do what I can to fill that space in the industry or community, wherever I end up in a year. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully good things.
Cool. Swervy, how about you?
Oh, okay. Well, I've kind of recently I've been pretty busy with life stuff, but I plan on definitely getting into it again more when school comes around, which is kind of funny because school was like a major pain last time on top of it. But I'm gonna kind of just focus on the grind, you know, get my life together, because a few years I'm going off to college. I know you guys you're all old and you've already done all this, but you know, I'm looking at all this and I'm like, oh, life, you know, it's crazy. But yeah, I have quite a bit of content that I'd love to make. I have like a notepad of ideas, and it's great. I have just a lot of things that I've kind of been collecting. I'll kind of just see what happens. I don't have like, it's not like a huge thing. I'm just gonna do it strictly because I want to have fun. I love creating content. I love editing. It's fun, and I kind of just want to, as long as I'm creating content with my friends, I'll be happy. Like because I know a lot of you guys, you're gamers and you're focused on games, but I honestly, outside of YouTube and stuff, I'm not much of a gamer. I do it on the occasion. You know, Valorant. It's pretty much the only game I play outside of like Minecraft. You know, but yeah, I'll probably be doing Minecraft content still. I want to get back to my Nick gaming roots, and I want to do vlogs again, because when I started YouTube a while ago, I was like, vlogs, this looks so fun. If I could just go out and do dumb shit with my friends, you know, go, I don't know, to like a fun place, like a roller coaster park or something. Cause I tried to do that the other day. Me and my friend went out, but you can't hold your phone on the ride, so that was a bit of a problem. We're gonna have to redo that one, but yeah, I got fun stuff like that planned. I'm gonna do this thing where me and my friend, we're gonna go out, we're gonna go on this extreme bike path, and it's just gonna be, we're gonna try to make fun of it. But yeah, it's just doing stuff I enjoy. I've just gotten a GoPro for it, because I have to prepare, like right over there. But yeah, it's great. I just want to have fun. There's not too much pressure, as you guys know. You've made it very clear that I'm young. I've got time, and yeah, I'm just gonna see where it goes. I'm gonna have fun with it, and then probably once I'm like in college or like finishing out, I'm gonna really focus on it, because I'd love to have this as my job. It's something I've had interest in. I lose interest in things very quickly, but it's kind of been something that I can just look back and I'm like, yeah, content creation. That's what I like doing, and yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Well, the landscape could look very different by the time you get out of college, so that's going to be really cool to as somebody that's in a position where you can just have fun, right? It's not a job, it's nothing that you have to stress about. That's really cool. So enjoy the ride, seriously, because it'll definitely be, you'll see an evolution of content. It'll be cool. It'll be cool.
Oh, and Hytale too, of course. Because Hytale is like, it actually looks like an interesting game, and there's so much to do. Like, I can unleash my creativeness. My true colors, per se, you know? It's gonna be great. It's gonna be so much.
Red, how about you, man?
Yeah, I'm actually in college right now, so I'm still trying to balance that whole like content and school thing. But see, right now my priorities are mainly on content, which means my grades are kind of suffering. But that's not a problem. Who needs physics? So like in terms of content, like I spoke earlier, I've had the second channel where I've done Minecraft content for the past 2 months, and it's done great. So no doubt I'm gonna continue with that. As for the Hytale channel, like obviously, like for now, like I don't think there's much room for me to do Hytale content specifically all the time. So I really don't know what that's gonna lead to. Obviously, this is my dream to be a content creator, and so I'm happy with what's going on with Minecraft and Twitch and TikTok. But in the long run, the hope is that I could one day do this in Hytale. But till then, obviously, you know, the tides take me somewhere else, and that's, I guess, Minecraft for now. So that's my plan for the next 2 years or so.
Cool. Livid, what's the future of legacy gaming look like? Because hell if I know.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, you guys, behind the scenes, it may not come across that way to everybody, but Cody and I definitely have a lot of freak out moments. You know, second guessing where things are going, what we're planning on doing. You know, the algorithm is probably the most brutal thing that, you know, we've experienced. There's things in there that we think we have a grasp on, and a video will come and it just completely turns our grasp on the situation on its head. And we don't, no matter how much studying into what we do, with things we like really research and everything, it still doesn't quite make sense, like why it does what it does.
The algorithm is a bitch.
Well, it's
hate
fun.
it.
It's funny, and Fezzy chime in too, because I think Livin and I maybe naively had this expectation that we just need to hit 100,000. Oh, we just need to hit 120,000.
Well,
The apprehension,
thing is-
the anxiety never goes away, does it?
No, so the thing is, right, is I had the same theory, the exact same theory, but under different circumstances, because when you get around 100K plus, that's usually when you get a rep. That's usually when YouTube gives you that verification badge, and maybe YouTube sees you as, because obviously, it's Google. They're like, how can you make us ad money? All right. How are you going to do that? And maybe, the way that I saw it was that, like, once you hit 100K, maybe they think of you as something sellable. So maybe you get pushed more. Maybe something's going to happen. I don't know. That's not true.
Nope.
But at least as far as I can tell.
Our last video,
but-
600 views. Yeah, it's going strong, guys. Don't worry.
And I feel that because what was it? I have like 40,000 subs on the channel that all came from Minecraft and Skyblock and 30. And with that comes the idea that I am not distinguished as my own person. I'm not distinguished as my own content creator. So when I upload something that either doesn't have 30 in it, that isn't from Skyblock, it tanks. Like this last video that I uploaded was completely personality. It was edited to hell and back. And it was a video project I picked up after 4 months of it sitting there because I knew it was going to perform bad, but I got it done and I got it out. And it performed exactly as bad as I thought it was. It's the worst performing channel I've had, or performing video on the channel I've had in a year, because the algorithm wants what it wants. Finds something that works in any degree, you're stuck to that, even to a fault. And it's awful.
It is awful.
It's absolutely the worst thing. So, I feel it. And hopefully the way that I see it is that, like, right now, because me and 30 are I have my own channel, he has his, even though mine's kind of just a disjointed part of his audience. I'm the guinea pig channel is what I've decided, is that my channel is the guinea pig channel. And maybe if a fit situation happens, because that's kind of the content style I'm going for, is something like a fits. If that blows up, maybe I can blow 30 up and then it's fine. We need that. If I can build a catalog and one thing blows up, if one thing explodes and the rest of the catalog is the same thing, maybe then I'll become the selling point instead of the game I'm playing.
Reddoons, you can't make these kinds of jokes around 16-year-olds.
I can see your smile through your sock, mister.
I am very happy with what I said. I am very proud of myself.
I don't even know if I'm allowed to hear this kind of, parents and all.
Well, yeah, Livid, sorry, I hijacked your comment through it to Fezzy. You can wrap it up if you want.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we started really as like a variety channel. We made sure everybody knows, from the very get-go, that we will cover a bunch of games. We're gonna jump to different games as we like to just showcase the things that we enjoy playing. That's kind of the way we want to go. We want to stay as gamers and provide content to people that is of good quality in those game space. Doesn't mean that we're going to stick with every single game, indefinitely. You know what I mean? Like, I can't sit there and still make content on Last Oasis, a game that basically has died, like a game that I thoroughly enjoyed. Yeah, like we enjoyed it for a bit, and then like the developers of Minecraft Dungeons just got so repetitive. The exact same thing that came out every single DLC, just with a different skin. And at a certain point, you're like, I can't cover this anymore. I need to move on to something else. Like, I just don't enjoy it. And, people are, still fervently asking, when are you guys going to go play this? When are you guys going to play that?
When are you going back to Grounded?
It's not going to happen. We've told you many times it's not going to happen. But it's like the algorithm and just the way people interact with content, they just think, if you made things on it once, it's going to be that forever. And I don't want that to be the case. We're very adamant that we want to cover a bunch of things. We want to do reviews, and doing reviews, you can't be a one game channel if you want to do reviews, so I think our play works better in that regard. But like,
could you imagine
it's
a
not
channel
as
that reviews the
demoralizing.
same game every week?
That'd be funny.
That'd be pretty funny.
But,
oh my gosh. Sorry, hijacked you again.
I can't remember what my thought was now because of that.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah, I lost it there.
But you're damn good looking, I'll tell you that much.
Did
Yeah.
you say I'm good looking? I know.
Not you, my partner.
Oh,
I mean, you're
That
all
makes
right.
more
I
sense.
can't say that to a 16-year-old, man. Come
Please,
on now.
we can't say
Yeah,
that.
you're ugly.
that's true. Yeah, I'm just
What are you
thinking if
asking
they're
about? Well, anyways, guys, it is super late. It is great to get to talk to you. Hytale Blocktable will be coming back. It is something that Liv and I started way back when, before many of you were around. It's something that we will continue in the future. Different people are going to pop up, like Exo and Swervy and Red, and it is going to continue to be an evolution within our community too. So it's just great to talk to you guys, learn a bit about your channels, your passions, your dreams, your frustrations, and one day, we will all play Hytale together. We will all make content about Hytale together. It will be
gonna have a house, a huge house with all the Hytalers and just party.
dude. At that point, I'm gonna be like
Legacy
35. I'm not hanging out in a house with you, Swervy.
Swervy, I have a kid. I can't do that.
Wait, no, did you mean in Hytale or like we have like the
You're like-
Hytale house?
You know, like the
Hytale house in
TikTok
real
house.
life.
All right, we're all gonna.
Yeah,
you can go over to Reddoons College campus dorm room and hang out with him and
Fine.
play Hytale.
Yeah,
I like partying. Partying is cool. Reddoons, are we gonna party? It's gonna be awesome.
Oh my god,
Swervy.
we're off the rails. That's
I
what
love
happens when
playing
you're recording a
Minecraft
video
all
at
day. I do not
1:40 in the
party.
morning.
Okay, well, Minecrafters can party. You just have to unleash your well,
Really?
maybe not.
I
Okay.
barely go outside.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyways, guys, it was great to hang out with you. We will see you back here for another Hytale Blocktable. As always, my name is Kodiak. This has been the first crew ever on the official Hytale Blocktable series, and we will see you next time for another one. Take care.